Hello everyone and welcome to Stories of Hope. I'm Christine Hotchkiss, your host, and here I talk about grief, recovery, forgiveness, inspiration, transformation, and celebration of life. Today we are going to have a special guest. Well, actually I have special guests all the time, but today I'm going to introduce you to a gentleman. His name is Adam Bevell, and he's blind. So most of us hear that terminology or the phrase, what you can't see, well, this gentleman can't see. So some of us take for granted our sight, our hearing, our abilities to move around. And today we're going to get into Adam's life and how this has changed him. So Adam, how are you today?
I'm great, thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you.
It's nice to see you. No
Thank
pun
you.
intended, because we already talked about this.
Yep.
Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am a father of 4
Okay.
beautiful children. I've been married for 20 years.
Wow.
And when I was 14, I was diagnosed with retinitis pigmentosa. And it's a rare eye condition that causes the retinas to die out. It's a slow process for many people. It's a slow process. Some go quick, some go fast. Some go a little bit slower. Some never really lose all their sight. I actually started losing my sight pretty quickly at the end of my 20s, late 20s, and at about 28 or so, I had to pick up the cane, which was the hardest thing I've ever had to do, because it showed to other people that that I had something wrong with me, that I was vulnerable.
Okay.
And I didn't realize how people would respond to me. And that was really, really hard because I didn't want to be that person. I didn't want to be blind. I didn't want to be in that group. And so, and I never knew anyone who was blind. I never had experiences with anyone like that. And so it was all new to me. And but when I was 14, I was diagnosed, and they kind of told me I'd be blind by the time I got to high school.
Wow.
And that would have been 4 years from that point. And I beat the odds, so I had my sight into my late 20s. And it's been a gradual process. It's been really challenging. It's been really hard.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
At 28, were you already a family at that time?
I was, yeah. I had a couple kids. I don't know.
Okay.
So I have right now I have an 18, 17, 15, and a 12-year-old.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, they grew up with their dad not being able to see. Okay. And so they know nothing really different. One of the things I always do as the kids have grown up, they knew that dad always was the guy who had the video camera in his hand.
Okay.
And it kind of is weird, I know. But I was always the dad with the video camera in my hand, and a lot of people knew I couldn't see, but I was just videoing everything.
Okay.
And the reason why, well, I didn't know what I was videoing. I mean, honestly, I just followed the sound. And but the honest truth is, I did it because one day I have faith that I'll be healed, and I can go back and watch all those things I missed.
Nice.
Yeah, and so
I love that.
yeah,
That's
so it's like a window into the past.
okay.
And I can see all the things that I missed, or the first steps, or the birthdays, or anything like that. First home run, that kind of thing. So, my kids are everything to me, and
understood.
And to be able to see their growth has kind of been amazing and a miracle. But I want to go back and really see what it was like, So that's why I video everything.
So, can you see anything at all?
I can see bright lights. Bright lights right in front of me.
You really are on camera.
Yeah, I can see that there's light. If it's light and dark outside, shadows. If there's a movement in front of me, I'll be able to see.
Okay.
But my kids hide from me. They have to do chores.
Nice.
Yeah, if they have to do chores, they'll
be quiet.
They'll be quiet, or if they're up too late, them and they conspire with mom against me sometimes. So so it's kind of. It's fun.
So she's supportive of you, and
she is.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Tell us a little about her.
Well, we met at MCC, Mesa Community College, and we met in an education class. And she claims that I never told her until after we were engaged, but I did. I told her. Okay. So our first date was, she drove, and that's really hard because the guy has to drive, and for the most part. That was really, really difficult dating because a lot of girls did not, they wanted the manly man, the guy who drove him around and did everything for him. And that was a little different for me and my wife, you know, and our experience, because there's lots of things she has to do that I cannot do, and that's been a process for me emotionally to be able to take care, you know, allow her to do things that I knew I should be doing as a guy, as a man in the house.
Okay.
And emotionally, that's hard because I want to be able to take care of the family, to do this, and you know, to go out and, you know,
So let's give some
go
credit.
hunting. You know what I mean?
What's
And
her name?
Her name is Andrea.
Okay, we
She's
got to give her
amazing.
credit.
Yep, she's amazing.
Way to go, Andrea.
Yeah,
Okay.
she really is remarkable.
Okay.
So just a little bit of history. So I told you we were in a teaching courses together, and we were teachers.
Okay.
You know, and I realized that I was losing my sight pretty quickly.
Okay.
So I couldn't teach anymore. I got to the point where I needed to go kind of learn how to go through life as a blind person.
Okay.
I needed to go learn how to read Braille and learn how to use a computer that was just voice activated. You know, not only being able to use the monitor or mouse, and it's just by the voice. So there's no, the keyboard and the mouse, no monitor, and it was just all by voice, and it was really hard. It took months and to figure out how to do it, and also that process of picking up the cane. So I had to stop working, and she took over, and she went and supported the family, and so she opened up 2 schools,
Wow.
2 daycares. Yeah, it was amazing. We were able to sell them now, and just
Sell the daycares?
we did.
Okay.
So I kind of went to the very end of the story, but she built them up from 2004. She built the first one. Two years later, she built the second one,
Nice.
and it was amazing. She had 700 kids that she was in charge of, with over 100 employees. She did a great job, but in the meantime, I wanted to take care of the family.
So what did you do?
So good question. So in 2012, I opened up a vending company.
Vending
Vending machines.
Like machines with sodas and snacks?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep. And so I opened up and started with 36 machines.
Wow.
And built it, so now I have about 450 machines or so. And so it was that process of me wanting to take care of the family, and just this burning desire for me to be able to take care of them financially.
Okay.
And because that's what guys do. That's in my head, and that's what guys do.
Okay.
But even though this whole time she was taking care of us, and she is a remarkable person. She really is, and I'm grateful for her. And so in 2012, well, we started this, and with her help, while she was running the schools,
Okay.
she helped me. And then a couple years later, I showed her that on paper that this could support our family.
Sure.
And then a couple years after that, we ended up selling the schools, and it was a lot less stressful for her. So
I bet.
Yeah, big time.
So you guys run this together?
We do.
Wonderful.
Yeah, we do, for sure.
So Wonder Woman is my hero, and it sounds like I've met another Wonder Woman.
She is.
Awesome.
She is Wonder Woman. That's exactly what we call her.
Wonder
My
Woman?
phone ring is called Wonder Woman. So it's funny.
I have
you
my
say that.
Wonder Woman bracelet on. I'm all about the Wonder Woman.
She's gonna love you. Her Jeep is all decked out in Wonder Woman too.
I'm going to have
Super
to see
cool,
this.
yeah.
I love it, and I want
Yeah,
a
it's
Jeep.
cool.
So, wow, that's awesome. I'm going to take you back when you were talking to me about the keyboard and the mouse,
Yeah.
and we had never met.
Right.
You were referred to me by a friend.
A friend.
And I thought, this would be great to interview someone that's blind, but how do I reach someone who's blind? How are they going to be able to know I'm... Oh, just Facebook friend them. I'm like, how do you Facebook friend someone when I'm used to seeing it
Right.
literally the way that I see it as anyone else does?
Right.
And
Well, I don't know if you want me to show you this, but for my phone, it's really amazing. So I actually went and learned how to use a computer without the monitor.
you mentioned
Okay,
that.
Right.
Okay.
So I had to learn how to use all the shortcuts on the keyboard.
Okay.
But with the advent of the iPhone, it kind of made things a little bit easier, because now with Steve Jobs really wanted to make the iPhone accessible to the blind right out of the box.
Didn't
which
know
is-
that. We just
which
got
is-
taught something.
Which is really, really
Okay,
cool. So
okay.
everyone has it. It's under accessibility in general. You go in and put voiceover on, and your phone will do the same thing. Any iPhone will do the same thing.
Okay.
So anything that I want to touch on this phone, it'll speak to me. So if you want me to demonstrate really fast?
Yes, please do.
Okay, so if you press home to, you got my code here.
not looking.
You all know the code. Okay, so if I wanted to go to Facebook, it just I double tap Facebook,
Okay.
and anything I touch will read to me. And so and if I want to go to my messages or
So it sounds
email,
like Siri on your.
it's exactly right.
Or
So
whoever.
anything I
Alexa.
touch. So here's Alexa, Facebook News. Here's the news of today, and so I can go through this. I have a low battery. There you go.
That
So
doesn't
that's how
sound-
I hear it.
Wow.
That's
well,
how I go through my
it talks
messages.
fast.
It's really fast.
Yeah, that's not Alexa or Siri
No,
for sure.
but it's kind of them sped up, and so
So you also had to learn how to listen fast. Not
Right.
Oh, wow.
yeah. So it's funny when I go to church and things like that. I always think, can you speed up a little bit? Because I'm so used
'Cause
to
you're
hearing.
used to hearing it.
So I'm so used to hearing my phone.
We won't tell your church that you said that.
it reads so fast that, and I get through the news and I get through the emails and all the messages that anyone sends me. It's really, really fast. So it's cool. So any book that I want to download, it'll be the same. So it's kind of fun. Yeah.
Wow. I'm just taken back by that. That is great.
I'm so grateful for it, honestly, because back in 2004, I had to stop teaching.
Okay.
And one of the reasons is because there was nothing like this.
No.
Like the iPhone, and I relied so much on my sight that I wasn't able to function anymore because my sight was gone.
Okay.
And so, with that whole thing, I couldn't even send an email anymore. Like it got to the point where it was so frustrating working, and I loved teaching. I loved the kids.
Yeah.
I loved it, and but it was to the point where I wasn't functional anymore because, I couldn't even go through my email. I mean, it was really, really challenging. So I had to go and learn how to do this,
Wow.
and kind of adjust and adapt
Okay.
to the challenges that that I've been faced with.
So you talked about how you lost your eyesight. And you said it went fast. Did you just wake up one day and you no longer could see? How did it work?
With my eyes are dying slowly. My rods and cones in the retina, they're kind of like dying out slowly. So when I was a 12-year-old at scout camp, I can recall being out there and everyone was playing capture the flag, and under the moon, and everyone was kind of running around, and I didn't understand why. Like, how could they run around? It's super dark out here. And I would just lean up against a tree and kind of throw things at people as they ran by. It was just being 12 years old. Okay. Anyway, and I kind of asked my friend, hey, how are you running around? He said, it's really bright out here. The moon is so bright. And there was nothing. I could see the moon, and I could see the shadows of the trees.
Okay.
But the moon didn't give off any light. Like a campfire would not give off any light. It would just be really bright.
Okay.
But it wouldn't illuminate anybody's faces or the area around it.
Okay.
Like a street lamp as well.
Sure.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything. When I was dating, for example, going into a theater.
In the moonlight?
Really hard. Really going into a theater because it's bright light outside in the hallway. Then you go into the theater, and it's super dark. And I would just look down at the ground and follow the little lights on the ground. And that's if I ran into somebody. In fact, I ran into a famous basketball player one time that way.
Okay.
And he had just happened to be, Charles Barkley standing there. And I went,
Oh, yeah.
boom, ran right into him. And I said, I'm so sorry. He goes, oh, that's all right, man, don't worry. But, things like that happen to me all the time. And if I don't have a sense of humor, then honestly, it would be really, really challenging.
Totally understand.
Yeah, because honestly, there's times where you just want to curl up and just go away, and just kind of don't ever show yourself because it's hard. It really is, running into walls, and my shins are a mess. I run into things all the time.
Maybe you should put some pads on them.
Yeah,
or something.
shin guards, like soccer shin guards.
Okay.
But I run into things all the time, and my family loves telling blind dad stories, because it happens to me all the time. I say things out of turn, or I'll run into something, or I'll trip, or and that's really, really challenging because I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
I don't want to be in this situation. I don't. I'm grateful that I can sit here and talk with you and try to inspire people and let them know that, hey, there's people that have challenges out there, and that I can imagine someone's out there saying, man, being blind would be awful. But you know what? There's situations where I can say that other people's situations would be worse than mine. I have a great family. I have a great wife, and we've been very, very blessed,
Good.
honestly. But I think it has to do with your attitude.
Absolutely, your attitude.
And how you kind of face your challenges, because, like I said, there's times you just want to curl up and just not do anything, just cry.
Right.
But there's times you just want to, you have to face the world. And, you know, I was raised by, my dad was a high school football coach, you know, and he raised us to work hard and to get up when you get knocked down.
Right.
And because of that tenacity, you know,
I love that
spirit,
word. That's my
you know,
word.
That's yep. That's what was.
It's almost like a survival.
Ingrained into me. Yep.
It's a
Absolutely.
survival.
Wipe yourself off, dust yourself off, and keep going.
Knee pads, helmets, whatever it takes. Get back up and keep moving.
Yep.
So I ask people, do you have a book? But I'm always telling people there's either a song in us or there's a book that we've either got in us and someone's pulling it out of us or we've written it.
Yeah.
Do you have either one of those?
Can I tell a quick story?
Yes.
Okay, so a few years ago, sorry, moving the chair here. So a few years ago, I'm a huge fan of music. Okay, and U2 is my favorite band of all time, and they're inspiring. Their music is amazing, and whenever I'm down, I love their music. It lifts me up, and it helps me and puts me into a good place, good mood, and so I go to a lot of their concerts because it's like they always say, it's like going to church. You know, they always say Bono is the best at turning Saturday night into Sunday morning.
Okay.
You know, it's the coolest.
Okay.
So I always feel very inspired when I go to their shows. I love their music, and I play guitar, and I always wanted to play a song with them. Okay.
Ah.
So I got front row, right in front of Bono in Nashville, and you know, music capital of the world, right?
Yep.
And so and so anyway, I was right up front with Bono, in front of him, and I knew that here's my chance. I want to get up on stage. I want to do this in front of 75,000 people in you know.
No pun intended, but you couldn't see them, so it was not nervous for you at all.
Well, I knew how big it was, but so anyway, we made a sign that said "Blind Guitar Player, Bring Me Up," and I was holding it up throughout the whole show.
Oh, big sign.
At the very, very end of the show, he came up and said, "What do you want to play, man?" And you know, he said it over the loudspeakers. I didn't hear. You know, I couldn't hear it. Yeah. And so he said, "What do you want to play?" And I said, "All I Want Is You." I want to play "All I Want Is You." It's my my song with my wife. Our song.
Oh.
And so got up on stage, and there was this moment. I got up on stage. You know, the security guys kind of lifted me up there.
Okay.
And I got up on stage, and I didn't know where I was. Okay. And Bono came over and grabbed my hand, and he kind of led me through all the speakers and wires on stage, and kind of put his guitar on me, which is a very famous.
Do you still have it? Did he give it to you?
Well, you can jump to the end of the story, right? So anyway, I played this song called "All I Want Is You" with them. Okay. Okay. And the whole crowd was singing. It's amazing. You can watch it on YouTube.
I will.
It is the greatest experience of my life, and it was so fun. Okay. And it felt like I was just in the living room with U2. Like the sound up there was. A lot of people asked me that. What did it sound like? And it honestly sounded like our living room, because of how they set up the monitors and how the music's coming back at you. Okay. And so anyway, he put his guitar on me, which is a favorite. It's called the Irish Falcon.
Okay. And I don't play music.
Yeah, and I
don't sing very well either.
They made just a handful of them,
okay.
And he. So anyway, we played this song, and he gave me a huge hug at the end. Okay. And I took the guitar off and handed it to him. He said, "I want you to keep my guitar."
Oh, nice.
Yep. So anyway, I kept it and took it with me, and the rest is history. And I got that moment for me to be able to play with the greatest band of all time. And my bucket list, it was like the greatest experience. And so anyway, after that, I went home and I wrote a song. And just as a thank you to Bono, say, hey, you know what? A letter is kind of nice, but I wanted to write him a song kind of speaking his language, music. And so I wrote the song called "Hand in the Darkness." Oh, and so that moment that I had when I was up on stage, everyone's looking at me. And 75,000 people, right?
Just a couple.
And yeah, and I didn't know where I was. I had no idea. And so he came over and grabbed my hand. And I thought, how many times has that happened where someone's kind of came along and grabbed my hand when I needed help, and just said, hey, come this way. And so that's kind of the premise and the idea behind the song.
Wow.
And I really felt like it was inspired because I've kind of halfway written a lot of songs, and they're kind of good, you know.
So you wrote the song,
But I finished it, and we got to go into a studio, and you know what? It was really, really cool to be able to take this in blank canvas, kind of like a painter's blank, and be able to create this song in you know, a beautiful painting and music. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah. So that's kind of the creative process was really, really fun, and it was just this great experience for me. So I got so through social media, I'm hoping he's heard it one of these days, you know, and it's kind of, you know, it's
So
very clear it's for him.
So you didn't have a connection to be able to get it to him directly?
Well, it's through his guitar tech, some of his guys, you know. I'm hoping they showed it to him, but I've never got any feedback. One of these days I'd love to get feedback, you know, but...
Yeah, don't say never.
I know, right? But anyway, a few years later, I got to go meet him again. Again, yeah. So anyway, he signed my guitar. I wanted to go down to Phoenix, and I stood outside. I wanted him to sign my guitar. I wanted to meet him.
Yeah.
This guitar he gave me, and anyway, he did. He signed it, and he said, "Hey, do you know how to play in God's country?" So, and I was like, "Yeah."
Oh.
He goes, "I want you and your family be my special guest tonight."
Wow.
So anyway,
wow.
it was really, really cool. Yeah. So we got to go backstage, got a little tour, and we got up front row. My whole family was there, and Bono was blowing kisses to my daughters all night, and just waving to my sons, you know, my wife, and it was cool. It was just this really, really cool experience. And Bono grabbed he was an 8-year-old at that time, my little redhead, AJ. He grabbed him and pulled him up on stage and sang to him. It was really cool.
Aww.
By the time he was looking for me when they were trying to play In God's Country, and he couldn't find me, so I didn't get to go on stage again. But
where were you?
He pulled up some other guy. So I was up at the very, very front, and he was up on the other stage because there's 2 stages. There's like a small stage and a big one, and I was at the big one, and he was at the small one, and looking for me.
A little breakdown in communication.
Where's the guy? Where's the guy? So it was funny. But one of these days, I'm hoping to get some feedback. It would be cool.
Third time's a charm, right?
Yeah, maybe. Hopes. But it was just this cool experience to be able to write this song, and I've had a lot of feedback on it.
Yeah.
From just people all over the world, just Facebook me and just say, "Hey, that was really cool. I heard your song, I saw your story, that inspired me from Italy or from Australia or from wherever." And they're all over the world. It's really cool. To me, that is the best, to be able to know that I've been able to inspire someone. You know.
So you don't feel like you're missing out on anything?
You're missing out? Sure.
But I mean, you're doing a lot of stuff that people with eyesight.
You know, one of the things that really is hard for me is just being able to play ball with my son.
Oh.
That's the one thing. If there was something I could do, I would love to be able to go out and just throw the ball, like my dad used to do, or my brothers used to do with me. That is the one thing. If there's any other than that, I'm good. I'm good. You know, I'm really, really blessed, and I feel like that the Lord's blessed me a ton, and I have to be grateful for it.
I'm always about the gratitude. Always about the gratitude, because like you said earlier, anything can be changed in a minute.
Sure. Absolutely.
I always like to ask one question of everybody, because you've given me quite a bit here, but what legacy do you want to leave?
It's a great question.
You have 3 minutes to tell me what you want.
I would love to leave a legacy of resilience.
Resilience.
And I would love to leave a legacy of humor through challenges. I'm okay with stories being told about me. I'm okay with silly things I do sometimes, because it makes people laugh. And if I can't laugh through this whole thing, then what's the other option?
Right.
Their other option is to not do anything and break down and not progress. And for me, life is about progression and trying to learn how to deal with this, because I have this for a reason. I know that. And I have to remind myself that all the time, that I've been given this for a reason, and I have this challenge, and I pray daily that I can understand why, because there's times where I don't want it. Just take it back. I don't want it. I can't handle this anymore.
There's no return receipt on it.
Nope, there's not. And there's been times where I've pleaded. I've gone through the grieving process over and over and over, losing a little bit more sight here and there.
Yeah.
I think that's really important to talk about for a second, just because this eye disease is a disease of accommodation. You lose a little bit more, and then you go through the grieving process again. There's something you can't see. All of a sudden, you realize you could see it a year ago, and then, or just facial expressions. It's really, really hard not being able to see that and communicating, and just being able to persevere through these challenges. It's really hard. So I've constantly, been on my knees saying, why? Why me? Why do I have to deal with this? Or please take it away. Or what have I done to deserve this? All of that. I've gone through that process so many times that I'm to the point where I'm just grateful. Grateful for the challenge.
Okay.
And I'm grateful for the opportunity to learn.
Right.
And because I know I have it for a reason, I have accepted it. And that's fine. I'm good. I've accepted it, and I feel like I can now progress because I've accepted it in my life.
Thank you.
And so if there's something I'd like to leave, is that I'm resilient, and that I've kind of understood our Father's plan for me.
So you already have a
sense.
Wonder Woman for a wife,
do.
and you're the Superman for her, it sounds like, with the resilience.
Thanks.
And you know what? Gratitude. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
You've opened up humor. You already said, okay, you opened up my eyes to a lot of things today, and including technology. I didn't even know that in your experience. Thank you for sharing your time with me today.
Thank you.
And if anyone wants to get a hold of Adam or myself, my email will be provided at the end of the show. And if you have a story you want me to cover, give me a email and I will return it.
I'd love to hear your feedback on Hand in the Darkness too. If anyone wants to listen to it.
That'd be great.
It's on iTunes, so yeah.
We'll shout out real quick. Where else can you find it?
On iTunes, you can find it under my name, Adam Bevell, and it's called Hand in the Darkness. And also you can watch the video on YouTube. Just look up U2 Nashville blind guitar player. There's a lot of videos on it, so it's really cool. So I'd love to hear your feedback on it.
That would be great.
Sure.
Yes, and then they could email me and I can get a hold of you,
Yeah,
or they can
please.
find you on Facebook.
Yeah, for sure.
go.
Adam Bevell.
All right. Thank you. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
appreciate it.
everyone. We'll see you again soon.
The preceding program was brought to you by the Holy Spirit Broadcasting Network, HSBN Television.